Pity on those whose chances grow thin. There is hiding place from the Father of creation. Yeah, yeah. One about the one. Let's get together and be alright. I'm seeing to mankind. Why if that's still Lord, I will be Lord. Let's get together and be Lord. One heart. Let's get together and be Lord. Hear the children crying. One love. Hear the children crying. One heart. Saying, give thanks and praise, and I will be Lord.
Dear Lord, we thank you for another day, for you have blessed us immensely. As we commence this program, may we feel surrounded by your loving presence. In the quiet stillness of our hearts, may we hear you speak to us. In your loving embrace, may we be restored. Deliver us from doubts, O Lord, and release us from distractions and interruptions. Give us your constant protection, Father. Lord, as we focus tonight on the agricultural sector in Dominica, we ask you to bless all farmers. Loving Father, in the resources of the earth, you have given us riches for all humanity. We pray for all who are involved in harvesting those resources in agriculture, forestry, fisheries. Their work is often hindered by pests and diseases, and particularly, Lord, support from the government. We pray for markets for our farmers, that they will be encouraged to work the soil and provide food for their families and the country. May they be set free from bitterness and anger. May they know that the communities that they serve stand alongside them in their need. Father, continue to stretch your hands over the great United Workers' Party. Stretch forth your hands, Father God, over its leader, its deputy leader, the president, and all members of the executive. May your grace be over us always. May your holy countenance cover us as we prepare to take the reins of government. Father, let your presence be felt in this program as we continue to raise awareness of the situations which exist in our country. May the veils drop off the eyes and minds of your people. Lord, during this Holy Week, we thank you for the example of humility and service that you left for us. Help us to remove our outer garments of pride and arrogance, of impatience and resentment, of unforgiveness and hatred, and replace them with humility necessary to become witnesses. Dear Lord, bless the host of the program and all the guests, that whatever will flow from their mouths will be edifying and for the upliftment of the United Workers' Party and Dominica as a whole. We ask all this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Fellow Dominicans, I want to say good evening to you and welcome to another Workers Program. I want to extend condolences to those who lost loved ones over the past week and weeks. I also want to send get well greetings to those who are ill at the hospital and at home, hoping for the best. I want to extend special condolences to the Telemac family of Wesley following the loss of a prominent United Workers' Party supporter, a prominent farmer, a councillor, someone who worked extensively in the lease spot control business in the agricultural sector, Mr. Kenneth Telemac. I think he served 49 years as a councillor in the Wesley Village Council. He was an icon. He helped in the building of the community of Wesley. So we extend condolences to the family and friend of Mr. Kenneth Telemac. Brothers and sisters, today we are going to deal with the importance of agriculture to Dominica. But we cannot pretend that we do not know today is Holy Thursday. And for over 2.3 billion Christians across the world, it is a glorious day that reminds us that Christ told us, if we follow him, we shall have eternal life. And if we die, we shall live again. The United Workers' Party is saying to the Dominican people, if you follow us, we will make Dominica the best place to live, to work, and to enjoy life. And critical of this is the building of the growth sectors, the pillars of the Dominican economy. That is why we are going to pay close attention to the pillars. We're going to spend a few weeks on agriculture. We have a number of persons, experts lined up to assist us in explaining to the Dominican people that we have the capacity to transform these economic lives of the Dominican people. And for us to do that is for us to pay attention to the growth engines. I want to ask the political leader to share a few words before we start our program, the Honorable Dr. Thompson Fontaine. Good.
Yes, a very good night, Steve, and to all the guests with us, Dr. TC, I think Mr. Roll, and Soso, and everyone who's joining us. It is good to have you. And let me just extend my condolences as well, Steve, as you mentioned, Mr. Telemac. I recall meeting him one time in Wesley around the golf area. And I remember him because he gave me a good account of his time as a counselor. And he was recounting the years that he spent. So I'm really sorry to hear of his loss, and condolences indeed to his family. You know, at this time of Easter, it's a good time for us to remember. Today is Holy Thursday, and many persons are remembering, what happened, what transpired during that time. For Christians across the globe, it's a very special time because it signals both the death and the resurrection of Christ. And it's something that we certainly want to celebrate, not necessarily his death, but his resurrection. And I remember years ago, we would take part in midnight mass. I don't know if that is still done in Dominica, whether people still go to midnight mass. But as a child, we used to look forward to that. Well, most times you would not hear anything because we would be fast asleep, but at least the idea of going out at midnight to mass and so on, and then just keeping the focus on the Creator. And for us, who are Christians, we believe in the Christ, and we certainly would like to extend a happy Easter greetings to all of Dominica. Dominica is, of course, a Christian nation. And to the many Dominicans who look forward to that time, a time of solemnity, a time of reflection, a time of meditation, a time of focus on things that are beyond us. Because after all, life is just but for a while. And there are so many things that are bigger and greater than life. And that is one of them. Faith is a very important one. And so for all of us, I just want to extend a happy Easter. And we hope that the spirit of peace will prevail in our hearts. The spirit of forgiveness will continue to be foremost in our minds and in our thoughts. And we'll continue to extend a hand of friendship and love to our fellow Dominicans. After all, Dominica is a very small country. And it is for us to build. It's for us to work together with every single Dominican to help build Dominica. So I hope that during this Easter, we'll erase all hate, all malice, all negativity towards our fellow Dominicans, and embrace peace, embrace kindness, and embrace togetherness, because together we can only do better. And with the blessings of God in our lives, I'm sure we'll do better for ourselves and for our country.
Thank you very much, Doctor. With us is the chairperson of the Wesley Constituency Association of the United Workers' Party. And we are going to highlight some farmers in the Wesley catchment area. We'll be calling two farmers that are presently on standby. That is, one of them is Lynn Edwards, a prominent farmer who has received a lot of awards from government and agricultural officials, spent a lifetime in this sector. Another one is Mabel Lawrence from Woodford Hill, who prominent farmer, years in the industry, to share their thoughts and ideas as to the importance of the agricultural sector to Dominica. But at this time, I'm going to call on Dr. Thomas just to share a few words in his opening remarks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, PRO. I want to say good evening to all the listeners tonight. I want to greet, of course, the political leader, Dr. Thompson Fountain, the president of the party, Mr. Lennox Linton, the executive, and the trustees of the party. Also want to say hello and hi to the people of the Wesley constituency. That would be Wesley, Woodford Hill, and Palm Tree. And I want to also congratulate the association on the election of new members recently. Well done, and I'm looking forward to a lot of good things being done in the constituency. I too also want to share my sympathy and condolence on the passing of Mr. Kenneth Telemark. It's interesting because while everybody called me TC, he always calls me Tis. Tis, how you doing? Tis, how is this? And he come by me, even come to my home sometime and have conversation. As recently as about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he came by me and we had some conversations. And he's always interested in listening to what I have to say, not as much as I was interested in what he had to say, because he was a wealth of knowledge and worked hard, very hard over the decades to build the community of Wesley. Definitely will be a loss to the community, and I do want to sympathize with the family. I want to say also to Mr. Philip, Moffat Philip in the hospital, will get well soon. We hope everything works out well for you and your family. I want to say a special hello to the folks in St. Croix, Terry, Peter, Marslin, Coltad, and the rest of the people in the group. Appreciate the support. Stand strong and hold on. Things are going to get better. To the group in England, I want to say to Dr. Robin, to Kelvin, Susan, Thelma, there's a lot of, I see you guys doing a lot of talking and a lot of communicating, and it's welcomed. You guys are really on board, and we look forward to getting great things from you guys. Tonight, yes, we're here to talk about agriculture, and although I've never been a farmer, and I'll say that up front, but I've worked hard in agriculture in my young days, and I've lived through agriculture. I was sent to school in agriculture. I went to the Portsmouth Secondary School, and I had to help pay my way through there by doing work on the farm. So I have a pretty good idea of what it takes to be a farmer. The lady I grew up with was one of the strong farmers in the village of Wesley. So I've been around farmers, and I've seen what farmers can do in a community and how they can build a community. So with that, I'll pass back over to Mr. Benjamin.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. Well, without further ado, I want to turn on to Soso to give his opening comments, and Soso is well qualified to speak on agriculture. To be honest, Soso is an all-rounder. He spent a lot of time in the agricultural sector and in preparation for, representing the people of Roseau Central in the Parliament of the Commonwealth of Dominica. I remember a few years ago, I was doing a little course in human resource management at the University of the West Indies Open Campus, and I met Soso there, equipping himself with a degree. So he has prepared himself for times like these. I want to call Soso.
Yes, thank you, PRO, Mr. Steve Benjamin. And let me say I'm honored to be in the company of Dr. TC, our International Secretary, and obviously Mr. Pedro. Okay, good. Yes, so oh yes, sorry the mic. Yes, sorry about that. Yes, so let me just say again, good night to everyone. Good night to Roseau Central and the constituents of Roseau. I wanted to start off by this quote by Aristotle, and I quote, "Good is certainly desirable in the interest of an individual, but it acquires a beautiful and divine character in the interest of a people's or state." End of quote. That is what Aristotle told us. Knowing that we are in the Easter season, and I want to, extend happy Easter to everyone. I myself am a devout Catholic. I profess my faith openly. I have nothing to hide, Steve. So I'm proud of that. And during this time of year, I mean, obviously, we take the sacrament of penance, which is of course the confession, very seriously, and we do expose our faith and take communion very seriously. So these two main aspects of the Easter, where we take the sacrament of penance and we take communion. And let me just say, with respect to the confession, a lot of people have their views about it, but my view is that confession allows you to resist temptation. And it keeps you in a state of grace. When you are kept in a state of grace, it's good, because if you continue to keep a house clean and it's always clean, just how that house is being kept clean and your heart is clean, then obviously you are maintaining the state of grace. So you have to thank God for this glory. And then obviously it makes us grow in virtue. And when I say so, it simply means that not only that confession you confess for confession's sake, but gives you that kind of powerful nourishment to stay spiritual. So let me just say to all those who are celebrating Easter, I want to say spend it well. And it's a Catholic tradition as well. I know a lot of people. We're not going to debate faith there tonight. I know people have their opposing views, but we're not going to contest about that. However, Roseau Central, I say the constituents of Roseau Central, our constituency association, our national executive of the United Workers' Party, our executive members, particularly the political leader, the president, Mr. Leonard Clinton, Mr. Dr. Thompson, and all of the executive members who are working hard. I want to say good night to you all. Our caretakers, our wow, the women of workers, and it doesn't just limit itself to a few women, but all of the women, both in and out. So we're talking about a wider family of workers. I want to say good night to you all. Those of you who are listening via Radio Land or all other forms of social media, we want to say, welcome. My good friend, in Canada, I know that you are hooked up. Mr. Ferdinand and Rosalind, both are tuned in, I know. And I just wanted to hail a friend of mine who said, oh, you don't call me sometimes. Fabian, I know you're listening, glued down and calling you. So I want to say tonight's emphasis on agriculture is very important. It is one of the sectors of growth that we feel we can make a meaningful contribution. And if agriculture was to be taken very seriously, I think Dominica could be a better place for all of us to live, work, and enjoy life.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Susu. Let me just spend a few minutes on the whole importance of agriculture so it can loosen up my farmers in Wesley when I call them. I mean, when you understand the history, the development of rural Dominica, where persons who went to primary school, some of them didn't complete primary school, and they were able to purchase land and build a house, 3-bedroom house. Some of them built more than one home because of agriculture. There was a secure market, so they could plant, and more you plant is more you harvest. And the good thing about agriculture, when you combine the soil and the sun with water, you get a product. You export it. You exchange it outside of Dominica for money. So when people talking about foreign exchange, it's simple as that. The agriculture brings in money that wasn't in the country. So when it comes into the country, people are empowered. They will buy cement this week. Next week they buy steel. When you do take stock, they have a big house. So it is important that we pay attention to agriculture. I remember my mother, Irene Benjamin, may her soul rest in eternal peace. She was a core farmer. She used to purchase a 4-wheel drive vehicle, and in 2.5 years, she would pay for it. The bank would give her 3 years, but in 2.5 years, she would pay for it. I remember when I left school, I got an offer of a teaching job at the Wesley Government School. And she told me, Steve, stay with me, I'll buy you a pickup. And she bought me a brand new 4-wheel drive Mitsubishi.
Wow.
They see the little Steve inside of the 4-wheel drive Mitsubishi. So agriculture have a livelihood. We are going to make farmers start to move the boundary again. Farmers don't even know where the boundaries are. In the days when banana was king, farmers used to be grazing on other farmers' boundary to get more land to work. That is where I'm coming from. So out there, people need the food. What we need to do is connect the farmers with the market. The United Workers' Party has already proposed purchasing a vessel to export water. The vessel is also going to be equipped to transport agricultural produce, because one of the challenges we have in the agricultural sector, and probably Mr. Roll will expand on that, is the safety of the food from the port to the another port. It ripe on the ship, and then the hawker have to pay for it. So sometimes you're making noise with the hawker and tell the hawker, oh, you sell the thing, you're not paying me. But he have absorbed some losses that you're not aware of. So we're going to have proper ships with cooling conditions thereon to ensure that the food leaves and reach in proper conditions. And the person to do that is the government. We will ensure that there are insurance in place, accessible to hawkers, so they can claim on the insurance when this boat break down at sea and nothing for them. There are a lot of challenges, but we are aware of it because we are preparing ourselves. I remember in the past, parents, families used to have 8, 9, 10, 12 children. Today is 1 and 2, and they cannot maintain 1 and 2 kids. What is the problem? Agriculture was maintaining 13 children at a home, and the man was still able to build a house for his family. Something is wrong. It's not agriculture that have the problem. It's the management of the country. And that is why we have an expertise in finance, in economics, leading our party, preparing himself, preparing his team to hit the ground running when you, the Dominican people, give us an opportunity to serve. At this time, I'm going to call on Mr. Roll to give us his experience in the agricultural sector and a little thing in the export, because critically, if you plant and you do not have a market, it makes no sense. Thank you very much.
All right, good night, Dominicans all across the globe, those in Dominica. Good night to the people from Wesley, Palm Tree, Woodfordale. There's a lot, but I'll try to narrow it down a bit. Okay, in terms of background, I worked at the DBMC. I work in quality control, extension, and to some extent audits. Yeah. I did work at the DBPL for maybe about 2 years, and then I went into the workforce. Yeah. So I have a hands-on knowledge as to where agriculture was and where it should be. But before I get there, I want to wish Mr. Arnold Telemack a happy birthday. Today is his birthday. And I really wish, I saw a posting on Facebook this morning, and it kind of like touched me a little bit. So I'm going to use the studios to say to Mr. Arnold this evening, I'm sure you'll be listening, or somebody in the family will be listening. Happy birthday to you, and I wish all the family all the best. Mr. Telemack, I am personally going to miss you. I'm going to miss our Tuesdays together. It's a regular Tuesday. We pack load on a Tuesday. And he would always come over and have that conversation. So that is something that I will miss. All the other things said about him by Steve Benjamin, TC, and the other guys, I don't need to go over that again. So yes, agriculture. We can do a lot. We can do a lot in agriculture. We can be more effective in terms of production and marketing. For now, we are not doing too good. And we have to start to channel that route. So we now have to look in educating the younger generation. We need to do things. We need to apply things in Dominica that could bring on the younger generation. Just like how I grew up with my granny and her husband, and I looked at what they did. I went to school, and I pretty much did what they have done on a higher level, and I could apply it today. I would really want to see the younger generation coming, doing the same thing, but even at a higher level than I did, so our country could move forward in the future. That's where I see it. In terms of marketing, we need to do a whole lot more. There are things, I think we're going to have another round of conversation, but there are things that that are more intricate in terms of marketing, in terms of shipping. I'm involved in that, so I would know. We're not getting the traction we need. We need to get that traction. We need to get that security. We don't have it. So we need to go in that direction. The same security that DBMC had 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. We had that as a farmer from DBMC. The people who were purchasing from us for the regional market, they had that from the farmer, because the governments at the time, what it did, they created that security to the farmers in terms the farmer could produce more. So the traders for the region, they didn't have an issue as to what they was going to get. At the same time, they would have their problems, yes. Those things come through. But in this day and age, I just believe to myself that the traders should be more secure. I think the regional governments that we deal with should have that conversation. We should have that conversation to secure the people providing that service. At the moment, there's none of that happening. So yes, you might find a huckster like myself or a trader like myself get involved in that trade. And we take some sort of blow, if you want to call it a blow or demise or whatever, a risk. We take risk all the time. And we get losses. Sometimes, based on who you deal with, you have to hold it back and find a way to make that payment. Because in all sense of it, that's the urgency in it. To deal with a farmer, you have to make sure you satisfy that family. Now, in many cases, we do not have the securities to do it. And that's one of the things we need to happen. On the other hand, we need to go places where we need to expand in terms of different or quality, different products we have for the region. We need to expand in those. There's a lot of things, a lot of things coming up from agriculture base, marketing and everything. But as we go through the night, we can go through it and have a go again as to where we go with that. Yeah. So Steve.
Lynn. Yes, thank you. We're going to try to get in touch with one of our farmers, Lynn Edwards. Yeah. So we're going to be calling. Yes.
Steve, whilst you wait for Lynn, I just wanted to comment briefly on what Clint was saying, because that is something that I believe that we are really committed to as a party, agriculture and agriculture development. And I had my own experience just in 2016, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that with our listeners, because I think in a way that has helped inform me in terms of what the opportunities are, what is out there. In 2016, I decided to go to Martinique to make some contacts to get Dominican produce out to Martinique. And I was inspired by a conversation I had in the airport with someone who told me that a few months before, our then agriculture minister, I'll come back to this afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, good night, Lynn. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, man.
Good. I want to thank you for joining us on our program, the Workers Program tonight. You are going to be live in a second. I just want you to briefly give us your history in the agricultural sector. I mean, how you did well or didn't you do well, and today, are you be able? Can you manage your farms and so on now? Are you making the money now you used to make a couple of years ago? So you're live. Please share.
Well, back then I joined my farm I was out on a banana day. Okay, we have up 6 employees. We employ 6 workers with ourselves. We would make up to 200 boxes per week. We would have access to a lot of things. Okay, we would have we would have access. We make up to 200 boxes a week. That would bring in an income to us up to, I would say, 2,500 a week. That time farmers not struggle. They won't have much waste and people on the street, because at that time people hustling you for a day work. So it always, young people always employing you, getting something for them to do. And a lot of things to go on and on and on. Farming, we had insurance under farming, under wind crop. Whenever wind blow, you have a wind crop. I situation the wind crop damage going on, that they would help the farmers in insurance. So you could have access money to go back to rehabilitate your field and to put food on your table for your family. And also, back then you would have access, farmers would have access, they could have gone to get inputs to sustain their farm and to do a lot of things. Farmers would take them to do things on their hope. They want to fix their house roof, or they want to go to get a transport help, then would pick up their money, even to pay their loan at the end of the month. Back then it was really easy and different to know. To now, it's really tight on farmers. And make it worse with this black sikatoka. You gather market to go sell any amount of money, but right now, you might just get a hoxa, take at least 20 boxes or 30 boxes from you. Tiny thing you get that little change, you have to take to go back to buy fertilizer, a half bag of fertilizer. Now it's a half bag. It's $110 a bag, a half bag. So it's strenuous on the farmers. Right now, it is very, very strenuous on the farmers.
I know you're more in the planting and banana subsector. Tell me about the black sikatoka and its effect on your farm.
Okay, well, the black sikatoka, like as soon as this rain starts, like although it's starting to affect the leaves, and then the bananas don't get into full like they're supposed to full, it's slowing down the growth of the bananas. It slows down a lot. And you're getting a lot of ripening. Some of them falling out, the body gets so weak that it cannot hold the bunches on the body anymore. It just fall to the ground.
Yeah.
So you just have a lot of waste to the black sikatoka because you're not getting the oil on time to spray. And when you do get cycles, the cycles will be so late. Because black sikatoka to me is just like when farmers were suffering with leaf spot. It's no different. It's every 28 days or every 14-day cycle. To control it, you have to try to control it. That's how it was done in the days gone by. You get a 40, it had the field officer coming to check your field, so they would know definitely how bad it is, and they would go to their businessman, the company, so the company would have a team of men. They call them the landsmen, and they would have taken care of your field. This is a 14-day cycle or a 28-day cycle.
Let me ask you a question before you wind up. If, for example, the United Workers' Party was to form the government next week, what would the first thing you would like the Minister of Agriculture to do or the government to do to transform agriculture, to make you happy once again in agriculture?
Well, what I would really like to see them do, drop the price of inputs. Bring back the farmer to something like a company to sell the bananas. So then that company would be just as the company before. They would take care of your sales. They would take care of your sales. They would take care of your sales, because when your sales are taken care of by the company, you get a slip that you could go to the bank, to any banking institution to get a loan. So they would see financial institutions for you to get a loan for you to have access to money to build back your farm and to do anything you want, because you get in your document, you go to the bank, would see, well, the certain amount of bananas you're selling, or you're selling weekly, monthly, and the income it brings in. So they would know how they can get to do a loan. So then I would like to see them do all those things there to bring back bananas, how it is. And then they will be able to work on the cess, or not on the cess, on the input for farmers. Give farmers back a steady cycle. Look at the cycles of the black sikatoka. So have a full control of the black. Because I went to go look on a trip by the fair trade on Black Sea Katuka. And what I see is they don't have it as bad as us because why? They have a control of it. They have a control of it. At every 14 days, they see it coming bad. Every 14 days, they give a cycle. If it's not so bad, every 28 days, they give a cycle. So that keeps control. And as soon as the farmers would see the leaf ends start to get bread, they're using a stick with a knife, a selector knife, and they would chipping it out. So that the Black Sea Katuka don't take control of their farm. And that is those things I would like to see them.
Yes, Lynn, before I ask you the question, I know what obtained at the time we were conducting the affairs of the farmers at the Dominica Banner Marketing Corporation and most of the DBPL. We had an organized system. And so I had the opportunity to lead and to coordinate the list spot program. And so what we organized at the time, we had schedules being developed for the various landsmen and to give them a time to go and spray. But what was more important is that we did what you call readings before. So we had what they call the evolution factor, the evolution of the yellow Sea Katuka, because at that time it's yellow Sea Katuka we had. Although right now Black Sea Katuka is more virulent than the yellow Sea Katuka. But what I'm saying is that we used to say, look, based on the evolution of the disease, we used to recommend whether or not a 14-day cycle is taking place or 21-day cycle. More so in the dry period, you spray less because remember, the development of the disease is very slow as compared to in the rainy season or the moisture conditions where you had the rapid development of the disease. What do you have now monitoring systems in place where people come, take data, and from taking the data, they can recommend whether or not a 14-day cycle is due to you or a cycle that is longer or shorter? Does that obtain right now? Is that well organized?
No, that's not organized. That is no way in existing for farmers anymore.
Okay, thanks.
That is not existing at all for farmers.
Yeah, thanks.
You're on your own. If you call the field officer and tell the field officer, well, I do for a cycle with my bananas and them are getting Black Sea Katuka hitting them. So if you could come in and send us, let me get some oil for me to do a cycle. You could send those linesmen to do a cycle for me. That you could have done, but there is nobody coming to monitor like how it was in the days of the DBMC in the company. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a million for your participation. And we're going to call the other guests on the line. So thanks. Anything else to say? Yeah, good. Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah, good. And we have already taken some of Miss Edwards' suggestion because, for example, Peter Carbon, the former agriculture minister under the United Workers' Party government, is presently one of our leading advisors on agriculture. And he has articulated several times that to bring back agriculture, you must have a component, something looking like the DBMC. So Lynn is right. If you go to the credit union for a little money, not much, maybe $15,000, $20,000 or $30,000, they want a record of your sales. That is what she's speaking about. So you will just go at the DBMC, they print out something for you, you take it to the bank smile. When I got my loan to build my house several years ago, I think I was 26 years old at the time. I just went to the DBMC, they give me something and I got a loan. No, for now, the bank people keep saying, boy, you're young, when I got the loan to build the house. So if you have a structure in place that you can take the documents to the credit union, to the bank, the lives of the people, the farmers will be much better. And that is one of the first things we are going to do is put something like the DBMC back in place to manage the affairs of the farmers. And one of the challenges we face, and Lynn is right, in Guadeloupe, in St. Lucia, in St. Vincent, they do have Black Sea Katuka, but they manages it so they are able to export to a certain extent to Europe and France. And finally, again, government is owing several $100,000 to the company in Trinidad responsible for selling Black Sea Katuka to us. The oil to deal with Black Sea Katuka. The landsmen continue to cry. Some of them would meet me, Steve. 5 months now, we haven't received the money from the state to maintain Black Sea Katuka. At this time, we're going to call on our next guest. Mabel Lawrence to share her experience in respect to the agricultural sector. Go ahead, Mabel.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yeah. On this banana issue, agriculture. My experience in agriculture, it was a great experience in agriculture in my time. Lean and them were there before. They are older people than me. But in my time, under the United Workers' Party time, I had a very good time in agriculture. When it comes to growth in agriculture, I had that. And the finance, we were making money. We were making money because in my days, call it my whole family is involved in agriculture. So I got to like agriculture. I had extension officers as brothers, and my brother-in-law was the one of the best minister of agriculture on the UWP. So that time, I had love agriculture. I learned skills. I learned a lot in agriculture, and I save a lot. And for now, to see how agriculture become in Dominica, it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart because I know there are farmers. They are young farmers. Like I know my brother at the age of 19, he bought his land cash, vehicle cash, and made his home cash at the age of 19. And that is only on the banana. We're not talking about other crops. So I see there is a way out for young people to make money in agriculture. There is way. The only thing we need now is marketing. Get the young people to organize the young people to work, give them land to work and to produce. There is a way out. In our days, we had foot soldiers like So. You had to be on your foot. So you can't go wrong in agriculture. These people were on our farms steady. You had So, you had Buffy, you had other Spags. These people that at that time you could love agriculture because they would tell you, they would give you ideas, they would lead you, direct you the way you should go with agriculture. But now, man, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say.
So tell me, what are the conditions of your road in the area? Is it affecting your ability to produce? Tell me about your road.
It affects. I'm not hearing you clearly. Clearly.
I was asking you about the condition of your road. Is the road condition affecting your ability to produce, to access your farm? What is the condition of the road in the Woodford area?
Well, my road is not too bad. It could be better, but it's not that bad compared to other farmers, other farm road.
Okay.
But for agriculture, we can move forward. We can move forward in agriculture. And I think we have the right, the people, we have the people, the UWP people, that we can move the country forward. We can move agriculture forward with the UWP people. We have people in position where we know that can do the work. Right now, you're not seeing anybody. We haven't got market. So I can tell you, there is no hope. I can see there is no hope for the young people. After our generation leave, there is no hope. Like people like me, Lynn. Because young people not seeing there's no way forward for them. And there is money in agriculture. There is money in agriculture. People can make money in agriculture. When you have, and if we had bananas like before, I can tell you, man, the country would be booming. But right now, no hope.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Anything in winding up? Anything else you want to say in winding up?
Well, if UWP if we come back in power, the first thing I would like to see, we form some groups in each district. In each district, get some farm groups and organize, bring back banana and other crops, and then I think we will be on from that time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, and let me just say, not if we get back to government, when we get into government, we will deal with it head on because we have the experience.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you very much. In the next 2-3 seconds, we're going to open up the line.
Yes.
And I agree with you. There is hope in agriculture. There is money to be made in the agricultural sector. We know that. Sweet potatoes, you plant sweet potatoes, and in 4 months you can harvest. So clearly, to jumpstart the economy, we're going to go quickly into short crops. We're going to pay serious attention to the cannabis industry because we can create millionaires in 3 years. In 3 years, we organize the cannabis industry in such a way that we identify young farmers in every constituency, every catchment area. Some of them, we may have to take them to the United States to see how it is done. We cannot just sit down here and allow other countries to be making millions of dollars out of the cannabis industry. And in Dominica, you have the police beating them with sticks and jailing them. So we are going to be very innovative to ensure that we create wealth in Dominica, to ensure we stop the brain drain. You understand? Because a lot of the civil servants in the past, they were able to stay in Dominica because they had a farm. So the farm would assist them in balancing their budget. But the fact that the farm do not have no way of selling, you don't have no way of selling your produce. You depend on the salary alone. And because of that, you are forced to flee the country. So we're going to open up the line to hear from our listeners. And later we'll continue this discussion. Thank you very much.
Let's get together and feel alright. Oh, let them pass all the dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for the hopeless sinner who has all mankind? Just David don't believe.
Good evening, caller. You're on. Go ahead.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
How are you?
I'm fine.
First of all, let me say welcome back to the program.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
also,
Thank you very much.
let me say my condolences to Mr. Kenneth Telemark. Mr. Telemark was a very strong worker, a very strong man who will come out and say about his, and I mean he was a very good man. I also want to say, I know him but Lambert, I know how is Lambert Charles.
He doing okay.
Mhm.
He doing okay. He doing well. He coming on his foot soon.
Well, I really want to know about him because I hope he's okay and so on. I really want to give my own input on a little more into my agricultural thing. Because you ban a plant or the planting plant, those things need over 97% of water. They are over 90% water. Those things you see the trash and all those things, the things you see it's about 10%. At least social can help me better again. But what you see is water, and you need water. Some 20 years and more. The United Workers negotiated to get water in the Calbishi, the Kayan Book, and Cassibos area. Cassibos started. Kayan Book never get on because they said they want to build airport. Calbishi, they built something, millions of dollars spent. And up to now, if you come up there, and I think Dr. Thomas must also send this thing where all this, the mixing tanks with the rotten and all those different tanks type thing were there for the water. And we never got water. I'll give you a story. About 40 years ago or more, I went to Antigua. And when I go to Antigua, I was going up towards the airport. I saw as though the rain was going to fall. I said, if I look at the rain going to fall. A rainbow I saw from afar. When reaching there, I saw flashes of water falling on some farm, irrigation. And I shook my head and said, look at this thing, boy. Antigua don't have water. You have irrigation, you don't have irrigation. Today, we are dying. I mean, before we used to have the dry season and the wet season. But because of global warming and so on, climate change, there's nothing like that again. In fact, last year was the hottest year for the earth ever. And they assume that as time goes by, they might get it worse again. And nobody's doing about nothing with irrigation. People don't understand this is about the same pattern, the same way. And the tanks, we have got no water. All the money has been spent, millions of dollars have been spent, and nothing has been done for the. In fact, some of the pipes were even covered down, they run. And the government come to us around the pipe and put the thing on our farm. They would tell us, okay, you have the beginning, buy your hose, put on how much hose you want and run on your farm. Nothing happened. And today they say now they're interested in agriculture. They're not interested in agriculture. Because there's nothing happening. They come in for Irish potato, and so on and so on. Real farming, some people like plant Irish potato, and I get a big loss, and I go back in this thing again. And I mean, this is all the question. So, water is the main thing. Water, if we have water, we could do very well. Right? The road in Calbishi, I was at a meeting in Rosalie some years ago, past more than 10 years, almost 15 years. I was at a meeting where they were launching the roads, the money for the roads. Prime Minister, the Minister, Matthew Walter was there. And they said they have to organize roads and do the roads. They had the money, they started negotiated through workers. They had the money to organize themselves to go for the road. Up to now, no road has been done. It gets worse. I heard the minister saying we're going to bring the El Tarish and so on. We were supposed to have a good road, right? They came up with the little thing about 722 feet, which cost so many $1 million to a certain spot. Because I can visit and so on. But nothing has been done on the road. And you know, people that's quiet here. The roads are very, very bad. Little Tarish can't go. When you had the money, where did the money pass? Okay? Where did the money pass which we had for the roads? We say lunch at the Lapland Agricultural Station. Where did the money pass? I was there. In fact, we were invited to, because DBL was invited to that meeting. And they were launching this thing. Matthew Walter was the man. Up to now, no money passing. And things have gone real bad. There's no hope for young people. They came there, you can say, no agriculture, talking to all. Since they just stay 10 years without anything happening. We got demotivated. You have the strength again to work. Everything happened to you, no strength. They're farmer. They must begin to look at the young people. get the young people involved, and they must get in a modern way. I mean, I went to St. Lucia, I saw the model farms. I saw where the fellas had water and so on. I was there on a farm. So was there. We went on a model farm where the man I sing on his farm and so on. And he got us there, Mr. DP, and everybody came and up there. And we saw the model farms, right, in Kulisak. Why we cannot have all that land, why we couldn't have that, our best land. I mean, it's sad. Our best agricultural land has been taken for us. And the machine chopping to and say, going to put it airport. The best agricultural land in the Dominica, the best area, well flat and so on. I mean, it's hard. And nobody worry about agriculture. All we do is...
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
thank
concern
you.
about the road. I concern about water irrigation. We will have some problems. If it's about water, we're in trouble. Our young people must be given an opportunity. Give them their computers, give them market, organize them, ensure, put them into model farms, get for irrigation, get things for them, and there's hope for it. But if there's nothing like that, there's nothing happening to it. Thank you, gentlemen. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Good night.
Yes.
Yes, good night. Caller, you're on.
Good evening, gentlemen. How you all doing?
Fine, fine. Thank you.
I wish each and every one of you all and your family a blessed Easter.
Blessed
Thank
Easter
you.
to
Thank
you.
you.
I'm a farmer to you. I'm a boy guy. In 2013, I went to Matic. While our banana was dying here, I saw lush green vegetation, bananas, them thing live green. And Dominica, we are black cicatoca from since that time up to now. I try to grow some banana and cocoa there before they reach a certain maturity. Black cicatoca, they for saying them for me. What are you going to do about that black cicatoca and all? Them farmers that on the program there. This is a farmer now. Anyway, gentlemen, good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, you know, gentlemen, that's an interesting question. Is TC a farmer? You know, one of the things that, one of the ways that agriculture, like every other sector, can move along and prosper in the country is by through sound leadership. You know, leadership. If you have leadership in place that focuses on the different segment of the economy of which agriculture is supposed to be, and I'm saying supposed to be because when you look at how it's done in Dominica, it actually is not a priority. And I was just going through and looking at some of the countries and how agriculture, how they show the importance of agriculture. In Japan, Japan spends over 65 billion US dollars in subsidizing agriculture. South Korea, 20 billion. India, over 28 billion. China, $212 billion subsidizing the farmers. The United States, over $172 billion. In the EU, over 40% of the budget in the EU is spent on subsidizing agriculture. And subsidizing covers a whole range of issues. You're talking about inputs, you're talking about educating the people, you're talking about setting up cooperatives. So if the government, and you could compare that to what is spent on agriculture in this country by this administration, and it could give you an idea of the importance and the priority that is being placed on agriculture. And so if there is not the leadership that's necessary, and both of our callers actually mentioned that, and you could see the transition from when there was strong leadership in agriculture, when there was agriculture was a priority, and things were put in place to ensure that farmers were making money. And now you're hearing farmers saying that there is no hope. But there is hope because there's about to be a change in leadership. And this new leadership is going to focus on agriculture. And one of the things that has to be done is to be thinking of how agriculture can put money in the pockets of farmers. And to do that, you need strong leadership, you need programs, you need strategy, and we have the people who can organize and implement those things.
Thank you very much, Doc. And you are very correct. Our record in government showed that we subsidized the price when England was paying less to the farmer. We stepped in as a government, as a political organization in government, and subsidized the price. I remember at a boxing plant at Menvin Hall, a Wesley farmer saying that UWP was paying too much for bananas. Jesus Christ. A Wesley man was saying that he support the other side, he support the Labour Party, and he's saying he that was getting the money in his envelope, he's saying UWP was paying too much for bananas. I mean, what is wrong? Let me just put on Soso there to set the platform for the second phase of our program, and then we'll call in back Clint, and now and then the political leader can interject where necessary.
Yes, let me thank you, Steve, and I like the composure of the political leader. He's there listening, and I know he will have his time to speak to expand on certain areas, and that's what it is about, leadership, and that's good. But I want to say too, though, the whole basic idea of people and production, whether you speak in Dominica or the Caribbean region or the less developing countries, the primary aim of individual is to fetch food, clothing, and shelter. For us here in Dominica, unfortunately, we are still oriented towards what they call primary production, or primary production in that we just do the manufacture, we just do agriculture, we do fuel, and they talk about other areas like just basic raw materials, as opposed to secondary, which we go into the manufacturing and so on, even tertiary, we're talking to be service sector. But let me just say, I've heard all of the arguments tonight, and here what is important surrounding all of this. We are missing an element that is very important, a strong agricultural policy. And a strong agricultural policy that will take into consideration production and productivity. What that means? Production for everybody means you used to produce 5 boxes, now you can produce 10. The productivity would tell you straight, if you produce 40 boxes and use 10 bags of fertilizer, then the productivity of that you'd have used for every 4 bags of fertilizer, you'd have used one. For every 4 bags, let's say, of dashing you make, you'd have been using 1 bag of fertilizer. That's productivity. The relationship between inputs and outputs. We want an agriculture that is a policy, by the way, that will take into account the environment, protection of the environment. How do we go about that? We have to be responsible in the way we do things. And the reason why I'm saying that we'll have the technocrats putting everything in order with respect to getting there. But we have to be responsible in the way we use plant protection products, like the fertilizers, like the insecticides, like the weedicides, and all of the other, maybe I don't want to call them destructive. At one time, they used to call them didetidozone, like gramoxone. That is out of the way. But we have more environmentally friendly now, pest control, where we can use pesticides we can use. So we have to be environmentally friendly in the way we do that. Because the higher concentration of these things that you use, they will have impact on the environment, subsequently our fauna and flora. We need an agriculture, and I heard of that tonight. We need an agricultural policy that will focus on marketing. And I know the political leader was talking some aspect of marketing because he himself was actually an organizer in getting agricultural produce off from Dominica and selling to the foreign markets. And he will continue this discussion. So yes, marketing. So you're talking about marketing is getting the markets, and not just about getting a market. You have to make sure that you identify your crops, and to make sure that you have a target market for the crops. And imagine, it's so sad to say, maybe now in this situation, Dominica alone will not be able to do all of the production. You have to be consistent in your production. You have to be consistent in your quality. So probably the little blocks that are wrong now, the Caribbean block, the CARICOM block, and talking about the Windward block, could be one block that put their resources together, put a marketing plan together, export, and then we can bring revenues. We're talking about talking about technology and innovation. We're talking about technology and innovation. We've been talking about it. Remember now, the way agriculture is being conducted over the world now, it is highly technologized, and we have to get ready to put in certain mechanisms in place so that we can have good technology in our agriculture. What that means, some of you can look about infrastructure. You can have irrigation, people talk about. How do you do that? you will have to identify the areas that experience a lot of drought or where we experience water deficits and to get water onto those farms so that we can help production and productivity. We talk about food security. Oh,
Hello, caller, you're on. Hello, caller, you're on.
Good evening to the host, and good evening, Dr. Fountain, Mr. Benjamin,
Good evening.
Good
and
evening.
the others.
Good evening. Good evening.
Glad to have workers back on the program. Very interesting. You know, from time to time when I talk about this situation in Dominica, I always maintain that agriculture has to be the base for economic development in Dominica. It has to. Now, I recall when the Labour Party came to power, the then Minister for Agriculture, Archie Matter, took a tour of the agriculture in Dominica, and he came back and said agriculture was in good shape. So in other words, the Labour Party government, now twinned with the Chinese Communist Party, it is now a subsidiary of the Chinese Communist Party, met agriculture, manufacturing, and these things in good shape. Tourism was in good shape, or infrastructure, roads, feeder roads to the farmers were in good shape. Now they have all gone to grass, and people say, if not CBI passport, what? And it is very sad that Dominica, we boast of fertile land, 365 rivers. Now you have to pay, what, $5 for a hand of bananas if you can get it. Root crops. I mean, there are a few farmers struggling. They're trying their best. But the other thing is that some of the people are complaining that the local food is expensive. Now, what is happening in the world, I don't know if people observe, they're producing GMO to feed the so-called third world country people, but they're buying up the organic one for them to use. And so we should have this kind of organics. When I was in college, I wrote a paper on agriculture as a base for economic growth in Dominica. Agriculture was not my major, but I looked at it as when we were producing agricultural products. And sometimes I listened to some person say that Dominica was a monocrop economy. I don't know where those people lived, but from the time I was small, I know Dominica exported bananas, cocoa, coffee, coconut, citrus.
Yeah. Vanilla.
Dominica was the largest lime producing country in the world. Right now, you cannot get a lime. You understand? So they destroyed the agricultural sector. Right now, the other day when I was saying that you need at least $300 million to begin to restore the agricultural sector. First of all, the black cicatoga has done massive damage to the country. Massive. So I was saying, we may have to put a lot of the arable land on like raise it or something. Just fire it and then restart again, in which time you must be able to provide the farmers some kind of stipend until the crops come in. But at the rate it is going right now, you go to Marigot and you see bananas with a bunch, no leaves. No leaves. And the government has done absolutely nothing. They keep talking. I remember they used to spray bananas every 2 weeks. Even in your little backyard where you had a little fig that was sprayed. They had the oil and they didn't even give it to the people if they could mix it themselves. So what are we doing? We don't have markets. Oh, markets have been taken up by Antigua, by St. Vincent has taken over markets north of us, all of them.
Yes,
And it is all because, okay, gentlemen, let me round up. all because of this is because this thing didn't start in 2000. It started long before. When I used to work in the service, I remember there was some kind of protest, and the farmers had their vehicles. Well, of course, they used to use long wheelbase Land Rover and things to get to the holding. And senior public servants were saying, look, at farmers have more expensive vehicles than us. And they don't even have notes. They don't have car notes. They don't have vehicle notes. We have. So this thing started long ago where they decided to undermine the farming community, which was the most productive sector, produced a large number of employees, workers, worked in the urban sector. Gentlemen, we have a very serious challenge and we have to attend it. Good night and God bless.
Yes, the political leader was making a comment there earlier before we got the caller. I would like to put on the political leader now.
Yes, thanks very much. You know, I've been listening very, very attentively, and I wanted to just mention that particular experience because, you know, I want Dominicans to understand that as a party, we are not just saying things, that our actions before and now and our actions in government will show that we are genuine about the support we'll give for agriculture. I mean, I'm a child of agriculture. I had my first garden at the age of 10 going on 11 years. I planted my first dashing garden. I still remember that spot where I planted this garden to make some money to buy a long pants so that I would not be out of place in high school, you know. But I wanted to make the point about the idea of marketing and the markets and so on, and then to come to two critical points that I want to end with. I was having a conversation. I try to remember the person it was, but it was a young woman that I met at the airport in Marigot. I was traveling out, and she said that she learned that our agriculture minister had taken a team to Martinique, and then he asked the government, he asked the people that he was interacting with, how much can they take from Dominica in terms of our produce, and they told him that everything we have they can take. So I said, but wait a minute. And you mean he came back to Dominica and he did nothing about this? He did not take up the Martinique people on that. So I immediately, a few weeks later, I was in Martinique. I made some contacts with some buyers and so on, got an agent in Martinique, and I started with Daddy Luge was at the very beginning, gave me great support. And we started taking produce to Martinique. But here is the deal. My very first order, and I have kept that as a memory and something that later on will spur action. My very first order was for 70 tons. That's approximately 140,000 pounds of everything that you can think of. And it was just a whole range of produce. Under this Labour Party government, I struggled. I think I ended up getting 15 tons of the amount. Within 6 months, we were able to get over $600,000, even without getting the supply. In the process, I was able to go all around Dominica. I ended up all the Bioche looking for plantains in Bioche. I ended up in the heights of Penville. I didn't know they had all of this land. You know, you just drive past, you never realize the kind of land that's up in that mountain there. So all of this land there in Pichle. I went all over Dominica looking for stuff. You know, at the end of the day, we were able to get some. I remember getting about 10,000 grapefruits from Mr. Lee. When I came back next time, it was all gone because in one trip, we took all the grapefruits. But we got pumpkins, ginger, coconut, turmeric, tanya, plantain, dashing, toloma, spice, yams, grapefruits, pawpaw, melons, peppers, limes, nutmeg. I still have a whole set of nutmeg at my home because the last shipment did not go through. But we encountered a lot of difficulties because we could not, the shipping was never certain. There was one time when in talking to the buyers, they said, but can you bring some vegetables? We can offer you $12 a pound of parsley. When I did the translation from Euro to EC, it was about $12 a pound of parsley. We went to Mont Prosper, got a shipment of parsley and celeries and those things. down to Portsmouth. And, you know, and I'm thinking back on it, and I think there might have been sabotage. On the day that brought it down, the day we were supposed to export these very perishable items because the ship has no refrigeration, but we put newspapers, we put everything, you know, like we wet the newspapers and so on to keep it cool and all the rest of it. They prepared it for us. The morning we took it down. And that day, instead of the boat leaving port, there was an inspection. The government ordered an inspection of the boat captain and the crew. So they could not go, they could not travel again. Guess what? The entire shipment spoiled. Because by the time we had to stay the next 2-3 days, we had to wait for the ship to go. It was no use. So all of that was wasted. We lost that. That made me understand two critical things if we're going to revive the agriculture product in Dominica. Number one, you must have a guaranteed supply. Because I cannot tell the amount of time we never were able to fulfill the orders, never, in those 6 months. Every time I would come with some excuse, you know, we try. You can ask Danny. Me and Danny spent countless hours on the road, going all over Dominica, looking for products, looking for ginger, looking for pumpkin, looking for tanya, looking for pepper. The product simply was not there. So we understand as a government that we need to be able to have a guaranteed supply. And the way we do that, which TC talked about subsidies. Government must step in to subsidize agriculture at some point so that they can have a guaranteed supply. You provide the farmers with the inputs that they need. You provide them with the whatever they need to actually get the produce so that you have a certain amount to supply to the market. In the process of all of that, I went all the way up the heights of Calabishi. I saw some of the work that the United Workers' Party had done for irrigation. The pipes that they run, they were still in place. They were still after all of those years, not been used, beginning to dry rot. But the irrigation, so you have to provide those inputs, I heard someone talk again about the roads and so on. You have to provide the means of communication so that people are able to get to the farms. All of those areas was very difficult to get to. We had to use four-wheel most of the time to get to those spots. But it allowed me an opportunity to see the tremendous potential that we have in Dominica. So you subsidize the supply so you can have a guaranteed supply to be able to continuously supply the market. That's one. The second one is the shipping. We need refrigerated shipping, because with refrigerated shipping, you can now go into different, the real money is actually in the vegetables. I told you $12 a pound at the time for a pound of parsley. Okay, these people, the spice, $15 a pound of spice at the time, you know, and you could just imagine the tremendous demand that was unfulfilled. So you need to get a ship that will be refrigerated, and that's where again government can step in, not to run the boat, because I remember during that time there were some persons having discussions with the government about helping them to set up a line to run. I was involved in one of those meetings. Nothing came out of it. But that is where, as a government, we will take the initiative to ensure that we have the shipping so that there is a guaranteed shipping that is refrigerated that can take the produce to those islands. But there is tremendous amount of money to be made. Imagine from that first shipment, if it does have an average of $1 a pound, all right, or even $2, that's $280,000 already in one shipment that you could get from one shipment. So there is money, as I think it was Mabel from Wesley who indicated that. There is money to be made from agriculture. Okay, and that's the reason why, and because we understand as a party that is how you maintain livelihood, that is how you give the rural population access to money and to wealth. Our value is in agriculture. And as an economist, we talk about opportunity costs and where you put your resources into. And for me, that has to be in agriculture. Agriculture must be a major pillar of our economy. And with agriculture, of course, I'm talking about just the production side, but all of the other things that can come with it. Agro-processing, all the jobs that can be created from marketing, the young people can be involved. So don't just think of agriculture as getting dirty, forming whoosh biting and so on. That kind of thing. It is not just that. There are good paying jobs to be made, and there is so much that can be done. And that is the commitment that we want to give to the people of Dominica, that a United Workers' Party government will put the resources that are necessary into agriculture, that will take care of the supply, that will take care of the shipping, that will deal with the marketing, and above all will provide good paying jobs for the people of Dominica. That is a promise we're making tonight on this program to the people of Dominica.
Yeah. Very good. Mr. Coffee, you want to wind
Well,
up?
no, it was wind up, yes. And I was saying, and just include with respect to going forward. So that agricultural policy will take into consideration all it, but most importantly, continuous improvements. Because we it's a dynamic world and things change, and you need, when you have policies in place, that you can keep up. Because the various wars around the world, you would have to know ensure that all the things you talk about, refrigeration, storage, and so that is very important, because if you cannot ship, then you have to store, but you have to have proper storage facilities. So the whole agricultural policy, all what we're talking about, if we put that in a framework of policy, then we know now we are directed to certain things. But one crucial element, and the political leaders pointed out to it, the young people. I think under the United Workers' Party, we started a young farmer program where we wanted to where we started training young people into agriculture, getting them to love agriculture, putting them in different areas where they were exposed in agricultural institutions in around Dominica. And some of them today become big agriculturists, some of them become bankers, because they were attached to the Aid Bank, they were attached to the National Bank, some of them were attached to DEXA, some of them were attached to ICA and the various organizations. And so that is very important. And another thing, we have to look at the role of women in agriculture. That is very, very important. Gone are the days when women come to just cook food and so. No, yes, they can play a better role. Women now do in their backyard garden, they do vegetable, they can get involved in packaging, train them in packaging, train them in labeling, and these are the things in sorting. And all these things must be, all these are just the technical part of it. But the point is, as a government in waiting, we are serious about developing the agricultural sector, because we know this is a lucrative area. This is an area where you can make a lot of money. And this area we know we can bring a lot of foreign exchange to this country so that farmers can be happy. As we speak right now, we know we have a problem where farmers have left the rural areas and they come down seeking jobs. Some of them went into tourism. Nothing wrong with that. You have to connect agriculture with tourism. When you produce the chicken, you can have your tourists eating the chicken. When you produce the eggs, you can have the tourists eating the eggs, eating the omelets and so. When you produce the pork or real pigs and put that in the pork, they can eat the bacon. And that is the thing. We need that integration of the sector between agriculture and tourism. Nothing wrong with that, but if as we speak now, and Mr. Robinson made a point earlier, talk about right now to allow lands to be fallow. Let me tell you something. Under this government, I've seen the most years that lands have exhausted. Lands have exhausted their fallow. So, Mr. Robinson, I want to tell you that this is a new area for us. Organics, we can go straight into organics. We are able to take soil sampling and to see the different elements in the soil. We have noticed that we have a soil that is already prepared for organic production, because the soil would have now become more pure and organic in nature because of the time it rested. So yes, this is another avenue, a niche market in organic. So yes, we have a lot of work to do, but we have the expertise. We have to develop the framework, develop the necessary policies, train technicians, get the extension service running, because you need intermediaries between the farmer and the organization or the researchers. Because we, as extension officers at the time, we did not just go and tell farmers about what research is all about. We had to bring back the complaints and the requirements of the farmer, because something that the researcher does may not necessarily work on the farmer's farm. He will tell you about the technology and he'll say, no, it doesn't work. Can you do it like this? Take it back. They go back to their research centers, they do the experiments, and they come back to see whether or not they can get the necessary way for the farmer to be more productive. That is the way we have.
Hello, good evening, caller. You are on.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, caller. You're live.
Oh, well, I've been trying to reach you guys. I'm so glad I get into that program.
So you got your money, you got your check.
Boy, I got my check. That's $1 million question. You have $1 million? Up to this time, but with time running out, and I want to be brief. I want to say to the people in authority that is in charge of Black Sigatoka, when the weather helps us as farmers, we have it a little lightly. But when, like Sosa was saying, when during the rain time and you see you have to take care of black sugar tucker, you have to be on it steady. As a matter of fact, we supposed to be doing at least 8 to 10 cycles a year. And if you ask me, I'll be reasonable with you. Sometimes we only do 2 cycles a year. And there comes a time later down this year, which I recognize, we might want to sell banana and plantain. If the relevant authority do step in right now and make the necessary sacrifice. For now, we know things are tight, but sacrifice have to be made for those things that are crucial to the economy of our country. And I say so to say that if they do step in now and make the kind of sacrifice that they need to make right now, farmers that are in banana and plantain now, my heart goes out for them. But my heart, certain percentage of my heart goes out for them. Because some of them, when you ask them to stand, they sit. And so agriculture now, when it comes to banana and plantain in the West, the Woodfortil and the gentleman from Marigot that called and mentioned about Marigot. All now, so I'm ready to go and work. But I cannot go and work right now after 6 months not getting paid. Why should I go and work and I don't even know how I'm going to get paid then? So I'm not pointing fingers at anybody in particular, but whoever is in charge have to step in and make the necessary sacrifice right now. 6 months I don't get paid yet. And I can challenge anybody, and I'm not afraid to speak. I am not one of those that are afraid to speak to say I cannot call the program. I'll call the program and say ask the contractor, if going on 5 to 6 months I have not getting paid. How I can go and work on not getting paid now? My back is against a big wall, and I going to take the $5 I have to pay my loan and go and pay for farmers. Farmers are not even standing up for themselves. I don't even want to get too emotional on all your program. But very, very good program, and then we're looking forward for another program like that to continue when the time is right, man. Brother Steve, have a good one. Much more to be said, but time is of the essence.
Thank you very much, caller. I think the political leader want to interject.
No, I would like to hear some more from Clint. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say, but I also want to listen to the people and to the calls and so, because that is something that concerns all of us.
Yes, let me just clarify what the gentleman was just saying. The caller, he is an individual involved in the control of black Sikatoka, and he have worked spraying the bananas and the plantain, and he haven't received money in 6 months. So that is why the problem of the black Sikatoka is so grave, because the persons responsible for maintaining the impact are not paid. And who pays them? The Ministry of Agriculture. So we're calling on the government to pay attention to the persons responsible for maintaining black Sikatoka so that we can continue to export bananas and plantain to the region. Thank you very much. Let me bring in Clint.
Yes, we just heard Conroy said that there comes a time we may want to sell a banana or plantains, and most likely there may be none. I beg to ask a question. Why is it the authority would use quote-unquote taxpayers' money to travel to Martinique, to Guadeloupe, and look at farms, look at productions and all those things, and they never seem to want to apply the techniques in Dominica? I always ask myself that question, and I'll tell you why. In Martinique today, as we speak, there are places where they practice in the field of agronomy. In Martinique, they could produce a banana plant for you, which is 90% of the time disease resistant. And then you wonder why we could never apply those to the agriculture in Dominica. I'll show you where I'm going with this. Our government, the present one, We usually go for aid from the EU, the World Bank, and whatever. Martinique and Guadeloupe, North and South, they are EU members. And we lie right in the middle of them. And I always say, you know, don't we believe that the EU itself would be willing to spend their money within the EU to enhance Dominica? I mean, nobody never thought about that. So yes, we go and we beg for $1, $2, $3, $4, $10 million, whatever the case is, and we parade it, we masquerade it around agriculture, and yet we cannot find that traction. You know, look, we're talking tonight. We're talking about the younger generation. Dominicans, if we want to attract young people in this day and age, I don't think we're going to get much young people with a sharpened cutlass to go and dig out plants, you know. No, we're talking productivity. We cannot take a young man from college today with all his expertise in the theoretical part of agriculture and give him 200 fixed slip to one plant. He is not productive. So until the government, be it this one or the one coming in, we have to find a market that will take large volumes. So now we can talk about bringing in young people. So a young man would say, I need to plant 5,000 plantains or 5,000 bananas, even 10,000. Matter of fact, my son told me the other day, if he could get a land space to put down 20,000 plantains, he would love to. So now you're looking about land reform. Dominica have a lot of land sitting around the place. How I'd say it? Unused.
Fallow.
Yeah. Just land sitting there, owned by people. We do have a good land tax system in place. If unlike in the United States, you could never have that land just lingering around the place. You have to pay for it. So down that line, when we're talking about production and we want to use our younger generation into the productivity, or whether it's dashing or yams or, I mean, we're talking about bananas now because banana crop is one of the things, you know, we have the highest output in and we have the most problem in. So we're talking about it, but we can talk about dashing, yams, tanyas, cucumbers, all those things. Avocados, you know? That kind of way. If you want to attract young people into it, we have to do the necessary things. Don't just take trips and go to Matic and come back and say, I see a long banana and those kind of things. You have to bring back the technology in Dominica. How is it I can go on my phone as we finish here and I can show Sheriff a banana in Martinique they call the gal. The gal is a disease-resistant banana. So yes, Conroy just saying he don't get paid for 5 months. And the reason is for that. 1, productivity is down. 2, the amount of tax returns the government will pick up from productivity, because every time we ship, we're paying indirect tax in Dominica. That's one of the reasons where and why they cannot access money to pay those people. On the other hand, monies they bring in on the other hand, it doesn't find its way, it doesn't filter to the farmers and the people that provide the service to the farmers. It doesn't go that way. So all how you look at it, we are just being twisted. And then they still come around and say, oh, young people don't want to engage. Yeah. I could never find myself planting. Before I ease up, I'll show you. My grandmother and her husband grew me. I don't know if Thompson you can remember or anyone of you guys can remember. They had a system at the time they used to call interplanting, where you used to have tall bananas and you would dig underneath and plant it over. But when those young plants come up, they'd come up tall with a small bunch. When I left high school in 91, I went away and I came back and I met the whole dog. But I could never engage in that form of agriculture. So I sharpened my granny cutlass and I cut everything down without a bunch. And her husband was making noise and saying, "What are you doing?" I said to him, "Don't worry. 6 to 7 months down the road, you'll tell me, you'll give me the results." And I tell you, at the time, my granny and her husband was making like $490 a fortnight. You understand? And when the production came in, remember those days they used to pay you cash money in an envelope because it was small.
In a pay packet.
In a pay packet. Now, when they began to get paid, they were getting paid on a check. And the check was showing me 1,008, 2003, 2005, and so on, because productivity went up. So in this day and age, I don't expect a child that in their early 20s to come with a digging tool or to engage a fork to dig fig hole and those things. The system had to put those things in place to assist those young people. And down the road, we get productivity, we broaden our tax base, and the country running sweet. That is how Dominica is supposed to go. It have no technicality in having a conversation. It's as straight as that. And all the other angles that fills in into that investment by the state will be fluent. Everything will go. The Hawksers will pick up. We will find extra regional markets for different produce and other things. We'll have the job security. We'll have insurance for farmers. We'll have social security for farmers, all that kind of thing. The state will pick up money when it comes to that. But as we are now, everybody's sitting tight and it's just a lazy meditation. And that is our biggest affection in Dominica when it comes to agriculture. And that is not about banana alone. Like I said, mangoes. Before I go, there's a market at present for plantain, the same plantain in London. Dexia is a government subsidiary, and Dexia itself cannot manage. You understand? It doesn't have the sitting production on Dominica to service it, not even a 20-foot container. Because why? So had to buy his 20 from him. Sheriff have to buy his 20 boxes from you. I have to buy mine from TC. We don't have time. We don't have the production, so we can give sauce on everybody and give Dex here. It's either we give one and don't give the other. That's what happened in Dominica right now. And it is affecting every sector. Every sector, because they are spill off. Sheriff have land for dashing. Sheriff will plant 2,000 plantains. When he make the money, he'll take some of the money and buy fertilizer to give his dashing and his orange and Simpa. You understand? And that is a breakdown of the whole situation. I just saying it to say, if we're going to attract young people into farming, outside the whole financial aspects and the amount of money we need to invest in there, but we need to get the technology right, and we can go forward.
That's correct. Well said.
Thank you very much. So you want to do any winding up?
Well, yes, I'm not really winding up. And it's interesting that, Clint talk about, resistant plants. And Clint, we did work on that and we got results. It's just that the market we were targeting at the time, when they do the testing, the eatability of the fruit, and so it wasn't for that market. With the French, anything what the Martinique produces or produce, France will consume it. So they're good at that. But yes, you can get planting resistant plants out of tissue culture. They have tissue cultured way. You could get planting resistant plants for the black sigatoka. Somebody asked a question here when I was reading whether or not we can eradicate black sigatoka. No. Every banana producing region in the world has black sigatoka. The point is, we talk about the agronomic practices, they improve their practices, they integrate the agriculture with other things, they use organic ways, they do their weed control. And just to say, I don't know where all have gone. The other song, where have all the flowers gone? Where have all the procedures and the techniques we used to use in agriculture? Where have all that gone? Before a farmer could apply fertilizer, we used to do sampling and send it to the lab. They do analysis in the soil. They tell you what is deficient, and we get the fertilizer or the nutrition to correct the problem. Before farmers apply nematicide, we used to go and we do what they call mini diagnostics, check the root system, see you have any reddish brown discoloration to see if you have any burrowing or eating of the roots. We know now you would have been infested with nematodes, then we recommend a nematicide. Talking about weeds, we remember we had a problem with watergrass, the Commelina species. We told the producers or the people in production of the weedicide that, look, there's nothing that you are producing right now that can kill the watergrass. Can you please do some research? You know what they came up with? They came up with a weedicide called Talent. And I can tell you, Talent was destroying every watergrass that would sprout up in the garden. So what they used to even allow us to develop cocktails. So we'd come and say, look, farmer, you have 70% watergrass, 10% paragrass, 9% vines. They could do now with the vines. We're going to take care of the vines, the Reglone. We're going to take care of the watergrass, the Talent. We're going to take care of the paragrass, the Gramosil. So we used to do a cocktail so that we know now when we spray, we know that each chemical will do its job and get to that total control of your weeds. We have all of these things gone. And you're telling me that we still love agriculture? Well, for agriculture to prosper, we need a change of government. And we are appealing to you people that the United Workers' Party is the alternative to bringing back agriculture so that Dominicans can make a substantive life out of it, to improve their quality of life, to improve the rural economy, and to allow people to incentivize that sector, to allow people to grow. And by the way, just finally, Steve, to permit me, right away now we talk about, and I like the talk about productivity. We do expect we'll take a fuck and go and dig a hole. The same thing I was talking about, technology and innovation. Where are the small farm implements? Where's the postal digger? You can dig 700 holes in a day as opposed to waiting on manual labor to do 200 holes a day. So these are the things that we have to look at. Where's the tiller? Where's the tiller to till the soil? Then you are man fucking up the soil. And all of these things, and don't get my language wrong, we do use the fork. So that is the kind of thing. So we need to be organized. We need to have people, ready to do the work. And that lazy attitude, that laissez-faire attitude, that needs to be eradicated. And let us get more productive. We talk about productive in crop production. We too, our productivity have to increase by doing more. We put our quality time so that we can get more return.
I tell you listeners that Susu is ready for government. I call Dr. Thomas to do his winding up.
Yeah.
1 second. Before we go, I want to put a challenge out there because I want to ask that critical question. In 2017, we had Hurricane Maria. And somewhere between 2017, early 2018, there was a banana market available on the French, banana sales on the French market. And this government, they were being approached to join with St. Lucia. Because as you can understand, we really cannot ship directly on the French market. We have to have this arrangement. So if you can remember, somewhere in 2018 yes, they had those plantlets from the French country, and they made a mess out of it. They never gave it to the people who it was intended to go to. And then the other mess they made out of it. They're so disconnected. They still, and they always are being disconnected, that they never ever, that's what I'm saying, You keep sending technocrats to Martinique all the time and to Guadeloupe. And here it is, we could engage in a market for farmers, in the French market. And we had to lose it because why? Because of your disconnection with farmers and you don't understand the plight of the farmer. You went over there and you took a strain of banana, which was susceptible to the disease. At the same time, your fertilizer regime was poor. It was very poor. The chemicals you had to use for nematicides and all those things, they were unbecoming. The prices were high, no duty-free concessions on farmers, nothing. And we had to fall through on that. Whereas if they had go through come on the ground and talk to farmers. If you don't know, come and talk to farmers. Farmers will tell you, hey, we need a strain of bananas that they are disease resistant. You go to Matic and you would get it.
Right.
You would. You have the Williams, you have the Gal, you could use those two. And then you would provide the services in terms of leaf spot control, because you must use it in terms of your fertilizer regime and all that thing. And you put it in a way that the farmer could access it easier and apply it better with the timing, with extension people. And we would go through, and we had to lose it.
Yeah.
We did lose it.
Yeah.
And it didn't even go through to the regional market. We lost it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Doc.
Yes, we're talking agriculture tonight, and the rural economy in Dominica is very, very dependent on agriculture. And as Clint said, it's not only bananas. You know, Dr. Thompson Fountain spoke about all the other crops that they were asking for in the region. And as Steve will tell you, there's a lot of money to be made on something like avocados. So one of the dysfunctions that we have right now is that people who are supposed to be making big money in the rural economy are now leaving the rural areas and coming into the city looking for jobs that are not paying them anything close to what they could have been making in agriculture. Agriculture is important because it's what we have. You know, we have soil, we have rich soil, we have rivers, we have water, we have rain. And so we have given up something which was very prosperous to us in the past. And we all can reflect back on, how agriculture sent us to school and bought new vehicles and built big houses. But it's going forward. How do we go forward with agriculture? And you've heard a lot of examples tonight of things that we can do, things that were done that can be done by this new government that's going to be taking the reins in the not too distant future to make agriculture, as they say, sexy again, so that we can get young people into agriculture. Because let me tell you, if a young person can see someone in agriculture making big bucks, there is no reason for them to go into town to work in a department store or go in a gas station. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at the moment. If that's what there is, that's what it is. But if I see you making thousands of dollars a week in agriculture, and my family has land out there, or there's land out there that I can use for farming to make the same amount of money or something close, then why shouldn't I? But again, it goes back to leadership. The leaders have to put the correct things in place to make it profitable, to make it possible for the young people to go into farming, and for those in farming to actually be productive and be successful.
Thank you very much, Doc. And we call on the political leader now to make his closing remarks.
Yes, sure. Mine is to say thanks, for these very useful comments and for everybody who called in, and one of the things that as I was listening, that came out very strongly is the need for land policy. Because as I was rightly pointed out, we have a lot of land, real estate that is just lying there, lying fallow, has not been worked on, has not been used. There are many estates around Dominica. I saw it with my own eyes. I've been around, I've seen it. How do we get this back into production? Okay, and when we think of agriculture, we are certainly not just talking about exporting our raw material. We are talking about adding value to it. A critical component of any agriculture policy for a United Workers' Party government will be twinned with agro-processing. Our agriculture will also be in the area of livestock. We certainly will explore, pork production, but not just selling the raw pork. What about making bacon? How about the sausage industry? So there is so much you can do in terms of manufacturing that can tie into agriculture, that can make it a lot more profitable. Okay, and as a government will put the resources into agriculture that is necessary, because if you're building a house You want to ensure that the foundation of this house is solid. And for a country like Dominica, the blessings that we have is agriculture. That is one of our more natural blessings, agriculture and water. So any discussion about any kind of economic development for Dominica must begin with a discussion about how we revive the agriculture sector, how we go back into our tree crops, how we go back into our coconut production, how, there is just so much that can be done. And we'll continue that conversation with Dominica. It's a conversation that we need to continue to have because we need to inspire hope in our young people, to tell young people that there is a hope in agriculture. You may not want to go to the field, but you will get a job in marketing. You'll get a job in designing, graphic advertising, that people can go out there. There's a lot of other spill of jobs that will be there for the young people of Dominica. So I'm very excited about the start of this conversation. We'll have a lot more to say about agriculture, and of course that will feature very prominently in our economic summit, the Dominica Economic Revival Summit that is now scheduled for June 4th to the 6th. We'll be discussing agriculture. In fact, that will be our first subject of discussion as we look at policy, as we put in place measures, because we're not waiting for when we get into government to begin to discuss agriculture. We're doing all of the talking now, all of the discussing now, so that from day one, we begin to really act. From day one, we begin to put our money where our mouth is, to put the resources of the state into ensuring that the people of Dominica benefit. Because with agriculture, young people will benefit. With agriculture, people like myself, who probably would not have any other chance because of where I was born. I am where I am today, sitting, talking to you from Juba, South Sudan, because of agriculture. I know the power of agriculture. I've seen it in the lives of so many Dominicans. I know what it did for my family, for my parents. Although I hated to peel coffee, up to this day, I don't like to peel coffee. Although, by the way, I went back to peeling coffee, I actually have a nice set of coffee that I peeled just before Hurricane Maria. And I have a nice bag of coffee that I have roasted. Some of it, every time I come to Dominica, I roast some and I take up with me. So I get to like peeling coffee, but I'm saying this to say that there is so much we could do as young people. As young people, we learn the importance of agriculture, to peel the coffee, to be able to take off the kernel. That is something I hated to do as well, but I learned to do it. I did it, to plant the bananas, plant the dashing, all of these things. At one point, even as a kid, we used to have the vanilla. I know how to seed the vanilla and all the rest of it. We got involved as young children because we saw our parents taking care of us. They had money to take care of us. And that, to me, is what we want to offer to the people of Dominica. This Labour Party has failed us in so many ways, but the biggest failure of this government, in addition to everything else that they failed in, to me, the biggest failure and the biggest disservice they have done to the people of Dominica is to turn their backs on agriculture. You do not turn your back on the blessings that God above has blessed you with. You need to, first thing, when God spoke to Moses, he said, what do you have in your hand? Let me show me what you have. Let's work with what you have. What we have in Dominica is the land, rich, fertile soil. The people of Matlick, just our neighbors, 1 million people, torn off and south alone is enough to take everything that we can produce in Dominica, livestock, agriculture products. And I'm talking about the potential that exists, not to talk about all the other Caribbean islands that's looking to Dominica to be the bread baskets. So we'll establish Dominica as a bread basket of the region. We can do it. When I was in Martinique and I went around the supermarkets, there was produce all the way from Israel. Produce from Israel, from the desert in Israel, in supermarkets in Martinique that is 15 minutes away from Dominica. So we need to ask ourselves a question. We need to ask ourselves where we are going with our development and what we are doing by the people of Dominica. And that's what we need to correct as a United Workers' Party government team Dominica. That's what we will correct. We'll put the resources into agriculture, generate good paying jobs, generate wealth, and make millionaires out of agriculture. We can do it. It is possible. It is possible. We've seen it. We know it can be done, and we'll devote the time, the energy, the resources, and the expertise. And I'm listening to Susu talk about the different types of chemical for different kind of grass. So I need you to come and do some to help me out. I have some serious cap in elephant grass and so on that gave me blows. So you need to help me out with that. But it shows the kind of expertise that resides even within the United Workers' Party, and I'm so proud to be a part of this party, to be part of Team Dominica, and to really look forward towards the future. And let me thank the people online. I was interacting with a number of persons. There was obviously some trying to distract a little bit, but let me just assure those of you online that we are committed towards the development of Dominica. We are committed towards the building up of the people of Dominica. We are committed towards creating wealth, in particular for the young people of Dominica. And we believe that agriculture is one of those ways. We'll give you other ways as we go on, but agriculture is one of the more important ways by which we will ensure that the people of Dominica get a fair chance, and they do not have to rely upon government for handouts, but they'll be independent, they will have their own wealth, they'll be able to take care of their children, as my parents did for us, to take care of us through agriculture. So it's something that I am, as the leader of the party, is committed to. We in the United Workers' Party, we are committed to, and that is a solemn promise that we want to give to the people of Dominica, that we will again revive the agriculture sector in Dominica to the benefit of all of Dominica. Thank you and good night, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for listening. I want to thank our callers from Wesley, the two farmers we had, prominent women in agriculture. I want to thank the Dr. Thomas for coming in, and Clint, both involved in agriculture and the export of agricultural produce. I want to thank Susu for Ruzu, and everybody. Thank you very much, and have a pleasant evening. Good evening.
Hear the children crying, saying, give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Saying, let's get together, feel alright. Oh, let them
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing Your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I worship Your holy name. Your rich in love and Your slow to anger. Your name is great and Your heart is kind.